Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Thursday, July the 10th. We are here to look at the new releases that have been published this week. And on Thursdays, we look at fantasy and science fiction. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. We do sprints every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons for a total of 10 hours of your self-care time to read, to be creative, just to relax and listen to the ambiance that is your self-care. Good morning, Mary. Happy Thursday. Gray this morning. Oh, in Virginia with the possibility of a little rain. I have some errands I have to do regardless. How goes the beating? Tell me more about the Harry Potter themed festival thing that you're going to be doing. You mentioned that yesterday during one of Randy's. All right, fantasy and science fiction, which is usually mostly fantasy, and of that, usually romantasy. But that is the state of the publishing world right now. And duologies are very popular too, as this one is. The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley. There's so many ways. It's pronounced Bob. When Osric Mordaunt, member of the Firen Order of Assassins, falls ill, he realizes he needs the expertise of a very specific healer. As fate would have it, that healer belongs to an enemy faction, the Halen Order. Orion Fairhrim and her fellow Halen are inundated by sick children suffering from an outbreak of a long-forgotten pox. Unable to get the funding needed to launch an immunization program, the Halen Order is desperate for money. So desperate that when Osric breaks into their headquarters to bribe Orion to heal him, she is forced to accept. As Osric and Orion work together to solve not only his illness, but the mysterious reoccurrence of the pox, they find themselves ardently denying their attraction, which only fuels the tension between them. See, this is a romantasy book set in a fantasy world. That's my issue. But they are very popular. Mary says, Downtown Culpeper is having a Harry Potter weekend. I have my jewelry in a local boutique, and they have asked us to work on items that have that theme. The 25th, 26th, and 27th, whole town gets involved. Wow! How long has that been going on? That's a commitment to Harry Potter. It's a big commitment. Soul Gazer, The Magpie and the Wolf Duology. Did I tell you? Romantasy, duologies. By Maggie Rapier. Yeah. Every legend has a beginning. Sorsha yearns to be powerless. Cursed from childhood with a volatile magic, she's managed to imprison it within, living under constant terror that one day it will break free. And it does, changing everything. Horrified at her loss of control, Sorsha's parents offer her hand to the cold and ruthless Stone King. Here, get rid of her. Knowing she'll never survive such a cruel man, thanks Mom and Dad, Sorsha realizes there's only one path forward. She must break her curse. On the eve of her wedding, Sorsha seeks out the legendary Wolf of the Wild, Fowlin, a feral, silver-tongued pirate. He swears to help. He's a pirate. He swears to help rid her of the deadly magic if she'll use it to locate a lost mythical isle. Crafted by the slaughtered gods, it's the only land that could absorb her power. But Sorsha knows better than to trust a pirate's word. With the wrath of her disgraced father and scorned betrothed chasing them, Sorsha adds one last condition to protect herself. If Fowlin wants her on his ship, he'll have to marry her first. Mary says, there are two bunnies in the yard that are driving Bella crazy. She is in full voice. Get out of my yard. Get off my lawn. Come here. I want to eat you. Rabbits don't really bug Keo. It's squirrels. Rose and Chain. The Evermore Trilogy, Book 1 by Julie Soto. The war is over. in book 1. The dark forces have won, and the hero who was supposed to save them is dead. Captured as her castle is overrun by the enemy, the world as Bryony Rosewood knows it is changed forever. Evil has won, and her people face imminent servitude, imprisonment, or death. Stripped of her magic and her freedom, Bryony and the other survivors are quickly sold off to the highest bidders in an auction, and as Evermore's princess, she fetches the highest price. After a fierce bidding war, she's sold to none other than Tovin Hurst, scion of a family known for their cruelty. Yet despite the horrors of her new world and the role she must learn to play within it, all is not lost. Help and hope may yet arise in the most unlikely of places. Lore of the Tides by Annalie Sabrana. Mary says, well, we have plenty of squirrels as well. I call them SQs. Yes. Kyo, I think, recognizes with bunnies that he can't possibly catch them. So he just goes, yeah, never mind. Because he's not a runner. He's a galumper. Lore Alamayu wakes up to discover she's on a ship in the middle of the ocean. This is second in the Lore of the Wilds. Held prisoner and with no way to escape, she's faced with a dire set of circumstances, a crew that's distrustful of Lore's magic capabilities, her betrayal by a fae she thought she could trust, a dangerous quest for the Sun Book, which, if placed in the wrong hands, will make the Elitherian fae even more powerful. Lore must navigate threats on the ship and beyond into the ocean's magical and mysterious depths in order to find the Sun Book herself and help free the humans. All the while, Lore can't help but feel the intense pull of one fae male who has been helping her all along. But is she willing to risk her human heart for creatures that have burned her in the past and jeopardize her people's future? End of row 1. Terror at the Gates, Book of Lilith, number 1, by Scarlett St. Clair. She is the beginning and the end. She is peace and chaos. She is terror knocking at the gates. I was going to say something really estranged from her powerful family. Lilith, a Leviathan, finds refuge in Nineveh, a district in the city of Eden devoted to sin. There she uses her magic to steal for a living, attracting the attention of the 5 governing families, as well as the church, which expects women to remain pious and silent. When Lilith comes into possession of a beautiful blade, she thinks all her worries are over, until her usual buyer dies while inspecting it. Frantic, Lilith turns to the only man who can help her, Zerivin, Z, head of the Zareth family and ruler of Nineveh. His currency is information and his power is extortion, though he's always had a soft spot for Lilith. But when the dagger appears, he isn't sure he can protect her from what's to come. Together, they embark on a mission to discover the true power running their world. As their lives intertwine, Lilith realizes Z is more than just a friend, but their devotion to each other is a threat to the truth, to the church, and to those who want to tear it all down. Are you sensing how similar these all are? The Secret Market of the Dead by Giovanni De Feo. Good morning, Elena. How are you doing? Just beyond the waking edges of Luceria, an 18th, there's a on it, an 18th century town in the Kingdom of Naples, lies the Knight, an enigmatic drinking game. Fiefdom, governed by 7 immortals and fueled by Mora, the power to reshape one's destiny. On this porous border separating day from night, Oriana spends her time fantasizing about becoming a smith in her father's forge and eavesdropping on whispered tales of beasts and men who roam the nocturnal realm. But in the night, these stories come alive, as Oriana saw for herself after she inadvertently trespassed into the secret market of the dead, where vendors hawk Mora to those desperate enough to accept its immeasurably steep price. Years later, when her father chooses her twin brother to succeed him, Oriana challenges her sibling to a series of trials to determine the forge's true heir. But as the twins' fierce competition escalates, with the town and her own family set firmly against her, Oriana realizes that to break free from the stifling confines of day, she must once again embrace the night. And as always, everything comes with a cost. Just go to another town, sweetie. The Griffin King by Sarah Omer, first in the Chaos Constellation series. And Elena asks how I am doing. I'm doing very well, thank you. And she says, I am good. Mary says, hi, Elena, glad you could join us. And all this fantasy makes me long for some good sci-fi, and I'm usually not drawn to that. True. Give me some good sci-fi. Elizabeth Moon. Good sci-fi. Lois McMaster Bujold. The Miles Verkozigan series. Yes, you should try that. Batar was only a child when he killed a griffin, making him a legend across the Red Steppe. Now he is the formidable Batar Ra, ruling over the continent that once scorned his people. After a string of improbable victories, he turns his sights on the wealthy, powerful kingdom of Dumakra and their vicious Pegasus-mounted warriors. Nora Zoltama has no fear of the infamous warlord who marches on her country. She and her sisters are Harpy Knights, goddess-blessed and lethal, but as deceit and betrayal swirl around her father's court, she soon learns the price of complacency. With Dumakra under Batar's rule, Nora vows to take revenge, yet her growing closeness to the Ra's wife, Kara, threatens to undo her resolve. When rioting breaks out and strange beasts incite panic, Nora must fight alongside Batar to keep order, her mixed feelings toward the man she's sworn to kill becoming ever more complicated. Old evils are rising. Only together will Nora and Batar stand a chance against the jinn, ghouls, and monsters that threaten to overrun their world. The Undercutting of Rosie and Adam by Megan Bannon, third in the Heart and Mercy series. Immortal demigod Rosie Fox has been patrolling Tanria for decades, but lately the job has been losing its luster. When Rosie dies, again, by electrocution again, after poking around inside a portal choked with shadowy thorns, she feels stuck in the rut. In the rut is her unending life. The portal's uptight creator, Adam Lee, must come in person to repair the damage, but when all the portals break down at once, Rosie and Adam wind up trapped inside the mist, and the reticent inventor in his bespoke menswear seems to know a lot more about what's happening than he lets on. Maybe two people who have found themselves stuck in this thorny, tangled life together can find a way to unstick each other, just when their time on this earth seems to be running out. End of that row. I have a sneeze building. Excuse me. The Bloodless Queen by Joshua Philip Johnson. At the autumnal equinox of 1987, after fencing off half of the world's land for huge nature reserves called harbors, the leaders of the world called on their peoples to celebrate. Then began the horror and the magic. Everyone who died that day, all 132,329 of them, instead of going cold and still, turned odd and fey. They became mischievous and murderous before disappearing into their nearest harbor, never seen again. And each year after that, on the autumnal equinox, the same terrible transformations would occur, the wretched dead not dying, but instead riddling and whispering of a fairy queen, bloodless and powerful, while fleeing into the wild confines of the harbors. In the present day, Evangeline and Calidor, who are working as fencers, government-employed protectors whose magical powers come from mysterious tattoos of prime numbers. When they aren't fixing the fences of the Midwest harbor that separates the human world from fairy or patrolling on the equinox, they are parents of an almost 7-year-old daughter named Winnie. But as the New Year's autumnal equinox approaches, Evangeline and Calidor find themselves thrust into a vast conspiracy that stretches across governments, religions, and fencers worldwide. As they race to untangle this web of power and intrigue, they will need to confront the questions that have haunted the world since the fences were built. What lies at the heart of the harbors? Who waits there? Now this one I'm including here. More and more I'm noticing books are having different publishing dates, like months apart for Kindle and hardcovers or Kindle and paperbacks. This is Brandon Sanderson's Secret Projects, book number 5. As far as I can tell, and there's controversy even here, Goodreads says released on July 1st. Amazon says released this week, July 10th. The hardcover comes out way later. I'm going to include it now, so those who love Brandon Sanderson can, I guess, read it now. This is the 5th Secret Projects, called Isles of the Emberdark, a Cosmere novel. All his life, 6th of the Dusk has been a traditional trapper of Aviar, the supernatural birds his people bond with on the deadly island of Pachi. When one fateful night he propels his people into a race to modernize before they can be conquered by the ones above, invaders from the stars who want to exploit the Aviar. But it's a race they're losing, and Dusk fears his people will lose themselves in the effort. When a chance comes to sail into the expanse of the Emberdark beyond a mystical portal, Dusk sets off to find his people's salvation with only a canoe, his birds, and all the grit and canniness of a Apache trapper. Elsewhere in the Emberdark is a young dragon chained in human form, starling of the starship Dynamic. She and her ragtag crew of exiles are deep in debt and on the brink of losing their freedom. Let's just put 2. So when she finds an ancient map to a hidden portal between the Emberdark and the physical realm, she seizes the chance at a lucrative discovery. These unlikely allies might just be the solution to each other's crisis. In their search for independence, Dusk and Starling face perilous bargains, poisonous politics, and the destructive echo of a dead god. I don't know where it fits in the Cosmere. It was published today. This one, even though I don't do short stories, novellas, I'm including very quickly because it is a Murderbot story. Murderbot. Love Murderbot. By Martha Wells. This is only 34 pages. It comes out tomorrow. Rapport, friendship, solidarity, communion, and empathy. Perhelion and its crew embark on a dangerous new mission at a corporate-controlled station in the throes of a hostile takeover. Thank you for my sneeze. A Vow of Embers. Are we running out of time? How many do we have left? We've got a lot. Okay, we're going to do drive-bys. A Vow of Embers by Soraya Wilson, second in the Eye of the Goddess. A princess's forged marriage to a dangerously seductive prince becomes a life-and-death alliance in an exhilarating adventure by blah, blah, blah. Pretty cover. That's the hardcover. Yep, pretty cover. End of that row. Oh, look, we have a sci-fi. Woo! Imperial Legionary by Andrew Moriarty, 7th in the Decline and Fall of the Galactic Empire. Devon, Lord Lion, strikes back. Accompanied by a battleship, a task force, and an unquenchable search for a good wine, he's heading for nearest major Imperial base to kick taboos, and take names. Of course, no convoy would be complete without Dirk, Lee, Scruggs, Dina, Rocky, and Anna along in the Heart's Desire. He's off to visit mayhem in the Betrayers of the Empire, but he has just a few teensy jobs for our heroes on the way. Just scout out a few planets and escort some troop ships to the marshalling point. What could possibly go wrong? This one is a novella of 112 pages by Brian McClellan. I like the cover. Swords, Cider, and Other Distractions, a Glass Immortals part of that series. And this one is kind of strange to me. I have like 2 main sites I go to for sources, and Ben Aronovich is a big name, and neither of them had this book. But as far as I can tell, it's published this week. Stone and Sky, Rivers of London, book number 10. All Detective Sergeant Peter Grant wanted was a nice holiday up in Scotland. He'll need one once this is over. Sea? Check. Sand? Some. Sun? Sort of. But that's not the only thing in the sky. Sharp Allies. Oh, sci-fi. By J.N. Chaney. It's not a week without a J.N. Chaney book. And Scott Moon. J.N. Chaney's kind of the Robert Patterson of sci-fi. How many Starblades does it take to face down an Emperor? Jake Fox has built a small but loyal team. This is 5th in the Starblade series. A small but loyal team of heroic misfits and made powerful rivals. When Emperor Cain Vaguar, the Roman number there, forces him into a corner, he negotiates and gets caught in a double betrayal. Can he and the newly formed Order of the Starblade survive the rise of a new emperor? They better, because a power shift this immense will lead to war on a galactic scale, and no civilization is safe. And last one, and the bell is about to go. Deadly Rescue, 5th in the Path of Dragons series by Pedro Urvi. A new saga arrives in the universe. A human with dragon blood who tries to hide it. A world ruled by tyrannical dragons that have enslaved all the races. A martial school where those who have dragon blood and manifest the power are sent to learn to fight for their dragon lords. A training of sword and magic that only the strongest will survive. An academy where a simple look, a small mistake, and a sign of weakness can cost you your life. Dragons have no mercy. Dragons despise the weak. A new world discovered, a plan to conquer it for the greater glory of dragons. A war of massive proportions on the horizon, one that will change the life of millions. Live epic adventures full of action, mystery, sword, and magic. So much. All right. Well, that is what we have today in mostly fantasy, but also a couple sci-fi. Tomorrow, being Friday, huzzah, is Freeform Friday, and we will be looking at the rest of the cozy mysteries, and I think there's a handful of crime fiction and thrillers we also need to get to. So, we do have more to look at tomorrow. Again, I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Mary says, many thanks. Hope you and Elena have a great day. Off to Bead Room to create more goodies. At least I hope so. Oh, that's going to be fun and beautiful, and you got this. All right. Thank you for watching, either now or later. Hope you have a good Thursday. It's going to be hot here again, so everybody be safe. Drink lots of hydration and read good books. And as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom nom. Have a good day. God bless.